I did 12 web design sprints back to back in the last 8 months. And after taking a moment to reflect back, review my notes and client feedback, I want to share my 4 biggest learnings. And more importantly, for each one, I want to show you exactly what I'm changing about how I run my business because of them. These are the 4 main areas I'm going to be touching on. So if you're a freelancer looking to sharpen how you work, so to have faster project cycles, more projects, and just to enjoy your job more, that's what I talk about in this video and on this channel. Let's dive in. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of the gate swinging and start with probably the most controversial thing in this video. It has to do with process and efficiency, and it's this. Clients, at least mine, don't want to use a Notion client portal or a portal on any platform, as beautiful as it may be. I know I spent a lot of time perfecting mine, but looking back on these 12 projects, the majority of clients barely touched their portal. They always just preferred simple bullet points and links embedded directly into a project update email. And one detail that really got me is that one client pointed out that if you're not already a Notion user, just interacting with a portal requires creating an account, which automatically opts you into marketing emails. And people genuinely hate that. That is real client feedback I received, and frankly, that I understand. So the change I'm making is that I'm sunsetting my portal and I'm replacing it with email. I know that might sound like a step backwards, but running a premium freelance business is never about what we find fun to build or nice to use. It's about what gives clients the smoothest experience. And what clients consistently want is whatever is the most simple. So the way I think about it now is there are just a handful of really critical emails that cover key touch points in a project. If you can really nail those touch points with messages that are templated and ready to go, your client will feel really informed and taken care of the whole way through a project because you're meeting them where they already are, which is their email inbox. So I will still use Notion internally for my own project management, but anything client facing is going back to email, and I already feel the difference on projects. As always, know your own niche. So if you work primarily with startups, for example, or tech clients who are super Notion centric, I am keeping the original portal inside the land and launch bundle, but my core set of project management email templates are going to get added in there as a tool. And they're kind of a double whammy, in my opinion, because they don't just take care of project management. They also tie directly into what I want to talk about next. Next key learning has to do with client relations management, and it's this. Show clients how to treat you. Do this early and do it very often throughout a project. I know that might sound a bit abstract, but I promise I'm going to get very specific with this one. So something that became really clear to me over my last 12 projects is that clients are constantly looking to you for signals about how they should treat you. It's very easy, especially when you're trying to be nice, to accidentally send signals that make your life as a freelancer way harder than it needs to be. Here's what I mean. When I was building out my core set of project email templates, I realized I was using a lot of language that was kind of soft and creating ambiguity. So things like, when you have a moment, please have a look at the latest homepage design and drop your notes in the feedback tracker. It sounds fine, polite, but it's also basically implying that there's no sense of urgency, so respond whenever. And then I would get frustrated about why feedback was taking so long. And I would think, well, it says in my project plan contract that feedback needs to be provided within 48 hours. So didn't they read that? And the answer is no, they probably didn't. And even if they did, people just need to be reminded frequently of things. So the version I use now says, to keep us on track, please share any notes in the feedback tracker by end of day, whatever day. Same request, very different signal you're sending. Here's another example. When I share the final built site for review, I used to say, when you can, let me know of any final changes before go live. And the problem with this is that it would leave the door wide open for a whole nother round of revisions right when you're so close to the finish line. So I now say minor adjustments, and define what you mean by that: color, spacing, images. I'm happy to handle before launch. Anything more significant would be treated as additional hourly scope, but always flag that before touching it. So again, what I've learned is that no client wants to be a difficult client. They just follow the lead that you give them. So it's our job to be very specific, to set super clear expectations, and repeat ourselves more often than feels necessary. Okay, next biggest learning has to do with actually landing projects, and it's this: avoid industry bubbles. Okay, what does that actually mean? When most designers go looking for work, I usually see them gravitate towards the same client getting sources, so startup communities, design Twitter, Upwork, Contra, etc., and a similar type of clients, which it seems like it's a lot of startups. And I get it, because that's where often it feels like the energy is, and that's like where the cool kids are going. But what I noticed across my last 12 projects is that my best clients, so the easiest to work with, the fastest to approve work, and the highest paying, were not tech startups. I'm just picking on that particular niche because it seems to be one of the most popular. But all of my ideal clients were in kind of more unglamorous, overlooked industries. And more than one of them told me they had simply been meaning to fix their website for a while. They just hadn't gotten around to finding someone. And I think that last part is key. So they're not putting out a request for recommendations on Twitter or Contra where 100 people then reply. They're often just waiting for the right person to show up. So here's why these kind of more unsexy niches tend to work so well. One, they have usually a strong, stable cash flow. Two, they are generally not the most techy, so they have zero interest in DIYing their website or figuring out the AI tools to do it for them. Three, they're busy running complex operations, which means they're far more likely to just defer to your expert judgment and approve work quickly rather than look over your shoulder and nitpick every detail. And lastly, because they don't tend to post a lot online, nobody's flooding their DMs with cold pitches. So how do you actually reach these clients? In the beginning, LinkedIn was a really helpful tool for me, as well as just really racking my brain for anyone I knew that could connect me to someone in one of these more random industries. But at least in my experience, once you have built some relationships in a certain space, most of your work can come through referrals. So the main change that I'm making in response to everything I just talked about is that I have officially deleted my profiles on the most popular client getting platforms. And instead, I'm really focusing on systematizing my referrals and outreach. And one of the messages in my core email template set is a message asking past clients for referrals and then offering them something in return. My last key learning has to do with something that I think we're all really trying to figure out our way through right now, which is how to use AI in the best possible way in our businesses. My learning, in a nutshell, is that AI applied selectively, combined with your own strategy and craft, makes you unstoppable or kind of gives you a superpower. But AI applied thoughtlessly without your critical eye is what results in what the internet calls AI slop. And at various points in the last 8 months, I tried kind of just panic plugging AI tools into different parts of my workflow to kind of see what would happen. And honestly, a lot of the time it produced, and I feel like I was trying to solve problems that didn't even really exist. Not to mention spending a lot of money on shiny tools just because I was afraid of being left behind. But what actually has changed things is getting way more selective. So instead of asking, where should I or could I be using I just start by asking, where is the majority of my time going on my projects? And of the gazillion tools out there, which is actually worth learning properly to solve that specific problem? And when I use AI intentionally, here's what is actually happening. The AI is just giving me a very strong head start, but then it's passing through my filter. And by filter, I mean my judgment, design sensibility, knowledge of that specific client and their business. So the client can receive something of a higher quality that was produced faster than would have been possible a few years ago. And if you compare that to the old way, so no AI, just, hours of work and iteration, the output that the client gets might actually not be so different. But obviously, one of these workflows is a lot faster and more optimized. And this would be my impression of AI tools used poorly and not put through any kind of filter. So it doesn't matter how powerful the tools are, they will just result in slop, and they might not even save you that much time. And plus, why would clients pay for this? They might as well just skip you entirely and go directly to the tools. So these last 12 projects really reinforced all of this for me. And the change I'm making is just being a lot more intentional about where AI earns a place in my workflow. And when I do find tools and ways of applying them that really feel like game changers, I always share them on this channel. I am actually also considering taking a short sabbatical from client work to go deeper on certain tools and workflows, but I will save that for another video. So those are my 4 biggest takeaways from 12 web design sprints in 8 months. And more importantly, the 4 things I'm actually changing about how I run my business because of them. So as mentioned, my set of project management email templates are linked below. And if you're new here, first of all, thank you so much for being here. I make videos about running a smarter, more profitable freelance business. I try to keep it just to real talk and no fluff. If that's what you're looking for, definitely subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks again.